A group of friends were driving at night when they noticed lights in the distance along a quiet road. As they got closer, they saw 3 figures standing still by the roadside, each covered head to toe in white robes. One of them appeared to be holding a flaming torch. The brief encounter left them unsettled. It didn't feel like a prank since it happened in such an isolated area. They were convinced they had come across something they should not have seen. A homeowner living in a secluded house deep in a wooded area checked his outdoor security camera footage after noticing something felt off during the night. That's when he saw this. A faint white figure appearing near the edge of the woods. For a moment it looked almost solid, then it suddenly vanished without any clear movement or direction. Some people think it could be light distortion or camera interference in low visibility conditions. Others believe the shape and movement make it harder to explain so easily. The homeowner believes it wasn't just a camera glitch. He had felt it. A group of hikers exploring Vermont's Green Mountain National Forest came across something disturbing near Mount Tabor. While walking through a boggy area in late April, they noticed what looked like an old pair of hiking boots partially buried in the ground. At first it didn't seem unusual, but when they looked closer, they realized human foot bones were still inside the boots. Police were immediately called to the scene. An initial search of the area didn't reveal much else, but days later, investigators returned with a larger search team, including search dogs and U.S. Forest Service personnel. That's when they uncovered additional human remains nearby, along with outdoor gear and personal belongings hidden beneath leaves and soil. Authorities confirmed the remains were human, but so far they have not released the identity of the person or explained how long the remains had been there. Could it have been a tragic hiking accident? Someone who got lost or succumbed to the harsh environment unnoticed? Or is there more to the story still waiting to be uncovered deep in those mountains? A person shared a trail camera photo on Facebook they captured in Loudoun County, East Tennessee, an area where they said they had already experienced strange things while coyote hunting at night. The image appeared to show a human-like figure standing deep in the forest. According to the person who posted it, the photo was taken back in 2020, but they avoided sharing it for years because they expected people to immediately call it fake. Some viewers believed the figure resembled a Civil War soldier, pointing to what looked like tall boots and old-fashioned clothing. Others thought it was likely just a real person caught in poor lighting or motion blur from the trail camera. Interestingly, the man mentioned that this location was far from any town or trail, which made him question why anyone would even be out there in the middle of the woods. Whatever it was, the person who captured the image claimed the area had always felt unsettling after dark. A father was out on a morning walk in the Appalachian Mountains with his daughter when they came across something unusual deep in the forest. Off the trail stood a large wooden structure built from branches and logs, but it didn't look like any normal shelter. The sticks were stacked and arranged in a strange, deliberate way, almost like it had been carefully constructed for a specific purpose. After later researching similar formations online, they found theories claiming structures like this have sometimes been linked to ritualistic activity or strange gatherings in remote wooded areas. Of course, there's no proof of that, and others believe it could simply be something random built by hikers or people camping in the woods. Still, finding something like that hidden deep in the Appalachian forest, far away from anyone else, would make most people wonder who built it and what it was really used for. A hiker noticed something hiding behind the bushes during a quiet outdoor walk. They grabbed their camera and recorded this. A humanoid-shaped figure can be seen partially obscured by branches, staying unusually still as if trying not to be noticed. The uploader believed it could be a skinwalker, referencing regional folklore tied to shape-shifting entities. Others disagreed, saying it looked more like a person crouching or possibly someone imitating common internet rake-style sightings. But what makes this footage questionable is the lack of information provided. Where was it taken? When? And what happened next? A person was driving through a remote area and came across this scene. Near a Catholic church, they noticed several girls dressed in white standing around what appeared to be a burn pile. Was something dark going on here? What do you think? Reddit user Sav3434 bought an old house somewhere in Appalachia with her husband to fix up and live in. They originally lived there for a few months about 5 years ago, but stopped after experiencing what they described as strange, unexplained, almost paranormal-like events. They kept the property and recently decided to start a full remodel, hoping a newer, updated version of the home would feel less unsettling. The house has 2 sections, an original log cabin from the 1800s and a newer extension built in the 1990s. They began removing the siding from the older cabin portion, planning to detach it completely. But during the renovation, they reportedly discovered writing carved into one of the original logs. It read, "Demon, be gone." The user asked if the phrase has any specific historical or cultural meaning beyond the literal wording, and what they should do about it. The answer to that was simple: move. A woman named Frances Dell Apperson left her home in Charlotte, North Carolina in May 2022 with plans to meet family for a hike at Hawksbill Mountain Trail in the Linville Gorge Wilderness. But she never arrived. When Frances didn't show up, her family repeatedly tried calling her cell phone. There was no answer. At first, they assumed she may have changed her plans or gotten delayed along the drive. But as the hours passed, concern quickly began to grow. Days later, authorities discovered her locked silver Hyundai in a parking lot near Linville Falls, not Hawksbill Mountain, where she had originally planned to go. Inside the vehicle, there were no obvious clues explaining where she had gone next. The area surrounding Linville Gorge is known for steep cliffs, dense forest, rough terrain, and rapidly changing weather conditions. Officials were especially concerned because Frances was deaf, meaning she may not have been able to hear rescuers calling for her if she became lost or injured. Massive search efforts followed, using helicopters, drones, search dogs, and ground teams combing through the wilderness. But despite all of it, very little was ever found. Only a scarf believed to belong to Frances, and a small angel figurine matching another left inside her car. Her family still doesn't understand why she ended up near Linville Falls instead of Hawksbill Mountain in the first place. And years later, Frances Apperson's disappearance remains unsolved. A hiker took a break in the woods when he noticed something moving in the distance near a spring. As it got closer, the hiker took out his phone and zoomed in. The footage shows what appeared to be a figure covered in dark fur. From the hiker's perspective, it looked unusually tall, with some estimates placing it between 8 and 9 feet in height. Some people believed it could have been someone in dark clothing. Others thought it closely resembled descriptions often linked to Sasquatch sightings. So, was this just someone in the woods, or did the hiker capture something much harder to explain? The quality of the footage makes it difficult to tell exactly who, or what, was out there. A person was out for a walk with their dog one night when they noticed something strange in the sky and started recording. A ring-shaped object became visible above them. The structure appeared perfectly circular, with lights lining the outer edge, forming a glowing outline against the night sky. Whatever it was never confirmed. A Reddit user named Damien Qwerty shared a photo that their aunt had taken during a cemetery walk in Virginia around 20 years ago. According to the story, she had gone with a small group to visit an old family cemetery deep in the Appalachian Mountains. The group had hiked there hoping to find old headstones and photograph them for relatives. But once they arrived, the area was so overgrown that most of the graves were nearly impossible to locate. At the time, they took several photos, but nothing unusual was noticed. Only later, after the pictures were developed, did they spot something strange in one of the images. Near a tombstone, a figure appeared standing in the frame. The uploader claimed there were no other people in that part of the cemetery besides their group. and no one remembered seeing anyone standing in the vegetation while the photos were being taken. What made the story even stranger was the aunt later claimed she had used a Ouija board to ask about the figure. According to her, the board responded with the name Teresa Collier, describing the figure as an 8-year-old girl. A man named Mike Nomonster shared ring camera footage from his home showing something unusual captured at around 4 a.m. According to him, the house was completely quiet and everyone was asleep when the motion alert triggered in the backyard. The camera then recorded a dark figure moving slowly through the yard. The shape appeared tall and upright, with what looked like a long veil or habit covering its head and shoulders, resembling a nun-like silhouette. There were no signs of anyone entering the yard, and no follow-up footage showed the figure again. Mike said he had never seen anything like it before or since. How would you react to this? YouTuber Class 5 Beater, known for documenting intense whitewater conditions, shared a run from May 19, 2018 that started off looking manageable. Everything appeared steady at first, with only minor adjustments needed to stay online. Then he drifted slightly to the right, and that small shift changed everything. His attempt to correct course was blocked by rocks, forcing him into a narrowing channel where the current began pulling him toward a dark opening in the river's edge. He was pushed into a tight, ice-covered space where a cave-like structure formed overhead. Water rushed through the confined area, pressing him against rock and ice while limiting movement. By staying calm and making controlled adjustments, he eventually managed to pass through and was suddenly pushed back into open water downstream. Skills and a little luck got him out of there safely. A group of explorers were deep in a remote wooded area when they came across something unusual. Hidden among the trees was a strange opening in the ground. Curious, they decided to go inside. What they found looked almost like an underground facility buried beneath the surface. According to local rumors, the place had once been connected to satanic activity. As they explored deeper, they claimed to find strange symbols covering parts of the walls, along with old writings scattered throughout the tunnels. But as they continued, they came across something even more unsettling, what appeared to be human bones and old shoes left behind, dozens of them, scattered throughout the underground area. No one knows exactly what the place was truly used for, or how those items ended up there. But whatever happened underground, the things they found raised far more questions than answers. A family heard a loud bang outside late at night and stepped out to see what caused it. When they looked up, they noticed a bright light shining from behind the clouds and quickly started recording. The footage itself is short, and no official explanation for the sighting has ever been shared. So what do you think they saw that night? A group of friends were camping inside a tunnel when they set up a small fire and sat around talking. As they relaxed, something appeared in the darkness at the far end of the tunnel.
That's not Christian. That ain't Christian.
A figure slowly walked toward them, covered in white-looking substance that made it hard to clearly identify. The footage then cuts off right at that moment before anything else is shown. Now it's likely the scene is staged, possibly with one of the friends acting as the figure for a prank. But if not, it would be a terrifying encounter for sure. A man named Daniel Whitehead was walking through a forested area in Silver Point, Tennessee, when he noticed a large black upright figure between the trees. He quickly recorded this clip.
Do you see that?
The uploader suggested it resembled typical Bigfoot sightings, but people online weren't convinced, saying it could be a prank or someone in a costume. You never know with these Bigfoot videos. TikToker Mosh Mob posted a clip from their backyard in the Appalachian Mountains at around 3 a.m. Distant whistling can be heard coming from somewhere beyond the trees. In the Appalachian region, strange whistling sounds at night are often reported by hikers and residents. These sounds are often connected to the idea of something deliberately imitating human whistles in the dark forest. And locals often warn visitors not to react to the whistling, but to act as if they didn't hear it. It can't be a coincidence that so many people have reported similar experiences in the Appalachian Mountains, right? A man living in the Appalachian Mountains had been hearing strange animal-like sounds coming from the woods near his home for some time. Curious to find out what was making the noise, he grabbed his camera and headed into the trees. As he moved deeper into the forest, the sounds seemed to get closer. Then, suddenly, he captured this. Something appeared to be staring back at him from the darkness, partially hidden, barely visible between the trees. The footage wasn't clear enough to show exactly what it was, which quickly led to different theories online. Some people believe it was probably just an animal hidden in the dark. Others argued the shape looked too unusual to explain that easily. Either way, coming across something watching you deep in the woods at night is enough to make anyone uneasy. So what do you think he saw out there? A Reddit user named JellyDonut1492 was in a cemetery in New Bern, North Carolina with family, taking their usual Pumpkinhead-themed pictures. While editing the photos and darkening the eyes and mouth of the pumpkin, they noticed something eerie in one of the images. Behind the woman, there appeared to be a faint figure of another woman. They didn't recognize her and were sure no one else was around, especially not that close. What they later found even stranger was the user's little niece, who was on the right side of the photo, was walking around talking to someone at the time. They didn't think much of it then, but in hindsight, it felt unsettling. Many wonder whether it was just a strange case of lighting and motion blur, or something that really appeared behind them in the cemetery. Nikki Dunn, known on TikTok as DunnFamily2023, is a woman who lives with her family in the Appalachian Mountains. One night, their backyard security camera recorded something unsettling. In the clip, her husband is outside at night with their dog when he suddenly hears this. The sound almost resembles a woman calling out for help somewhere in the darkness. He calls out, asking if whoever is screaming is okay, but there's no response. The footage ends shortly after, with no further movement or sounds captured on camera. In the Appalachian region, animals like foxes, bobcats, or mountain lions can make screams that sound eerily human at night. So was someone actually calling for help out there, or was it just the local wildlife? This homeowner got a notification from their backyard security camera late at night. When they checked the footage, they were shocked by what they saw. Out of the darkness, a very small, unusual-looking figure slowly walked into view. For a few seconds it moved across the yard, before a dog suddenly noticed it. The footage cuts off shortly after, leaving no clear idea of what happened next. But honestly, this footage seems more likely to be AI generated or heavily edited. A few details just don't add up. A 23-year-old man from Missouri named Julian Horton reportedly went missing while believed to be hiking the Appalachian Trail in North Georgia. According to officials, Julian was last seen by family on March 3rd before suddenly disappearing. Days later, an emergency alert was sent to phones near the Appalachian Trail, asking hikers and people in the area to watch for him. At the time, very little information had been released about what may have happened. Authorities believed Julian had been somewhere in the remote wilderness area of North Georgia, where steep terrain and dense forest can make searches extremely difficult. As concern continued to grow, search efforts expanded across the region. Then, days later, authorities in Georgia located Julian's body in Fannin County. Officials later stated there were no signs of foul play connected to his disappearance or death. Locals later claimed that Julian had allegedly left behind disturbing notes before disappearing, with additional notes reportedly found near the location where his body was discovered. The case became a tragic reminder of how silent struggles can sometimes go unnoticed. If you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts or emotional distress, please reach out for help in your country. And now, let's watch some more Appalachian encounters.